My neighbor's cat adopted me. I've tried to get rid of it. He won't go away. My neighbor is threatening to sue me, and so is my landlord. I have my own cat and a pet door. My cat goes in and out as she pleases to use the litter box and to probably get into trouble. Lately, my neighbor's cat, who's male, has invited himself inside via the cat door. He does it late at night, in the mornings, whenever. At first, I'd shoo him out, but that made him come in when I was asleep to eat my cat food. Apparently my cat food is better than his. I've been woken up by him meowing, and he often sprays my walls, leaving a horrible stink. I've tried spraying this thing with the hose, yelling at him gently, throwing him back over the fence, getting those things that are supposed to scare off cats with sound, locking the pet door. He meows at my door in that case and nothing works. He now pretty much lives in my yard 24/7. I've given up getting rid of him. He runs in when I open my door, the garage door, whatever, and then hides so I can't find him to toss him back out. Now, my lease says I can have one cat, which I do. Now comes the problem. My landlord came over for an inspection, which I was aware of. The problem is my neighbor's cat came running in while he was there and sprayed the wall, jumped on my counter and began eating my lunch. So it looked like I owned two cats. My landlord asked if it was mine, which I replied it was my neighbor's. He says another neighbor has complained that the cat is over at their house every day spraying, and they've seen it come to my house, so it must be mine. He's now fining me and telling me to get rid of the cat as he's ruining the walls. My neighbor is also unhappy with this, because she doesn't see her cat much. I've personally walked him over to her door, handed him to her, and see her toss it right back out after I leave. She's now threatening to sue me for stealing her property. She doesn't want to keep him inside because he meows, and whenever she lets him out, he's right back in my yard. She's also mad because he's gotten fat on my cat food. No matter where I hide it, the cat gets into the bag for lunch in the middle of the night. She's saying I've damaged her property. Can my landlord and neighbor actually fine or sue me for a cat that I have tried to get rid of? How do I respond? I'm going to see if I can find a few neighbors to sign papers saying she owns the cat, so I'm not too worried about my landlord, but my neighbor? Help, my neighbor's cat won't go home. Few more things to add. I like this cat. He's a sweetie. Sprays everywhere, but he's a real gentleman when he visits otherwise. 1. I'm getting married and we're buying a house in a few months. Could I get in serious trouble if the cat tries to visit whoever moves into this house? 2. Could I in theory take the cat? I wouldn't. Honestly, one is enough for me. But if I wanted to, could I and just let her sue me for the cost of said cat? He's not fixed, no shots, and I doubt he's microchipped. 3. She doesn't seem to care about him too much. It's more, oh, he was a cute kitten, but now he's not situation. She's a bit of a nutter, dislikes me ever since my tree fell over into her yard. He's scruffy looking and has a nice share of matted fur that I've been slowly brushing out. 4. Can I actually be sued for damaging her property for getting it fat? 5. Can the landlord withhold my deposit for any damage he causes? My cat is female and spayed, so it's not like she sprays walls. Edit. Apparently people have problems with my sense of smell. I grew up with horses and 6 male cats to catch mice. I'm sure my sense of smell is shot. Also, vinegar and orange cleaner get the smell out in a jiffy if it's not been there too long. Seriously, try it. I'm sure this sounds more extreme than it is. Seriously? Legal advice best of. Not worthy. I was tired when I wrote it, so I'm sure it's a jumble. It's more of a, this lady is a nutter. Am I actually going to get served? Than a serious worry. More for my curiosity than anything. Edit again. I'm glad you guys enjoy my problem so much. It really makes me smile. But legally, can she sue me for damaging her property and stealing her property? Can I sue her for damages to my house? Should my landlord withhold my pet deposit? Or fine me for having the cat around? What about all the money I've spent trying to get rid of the thing? I asked my landlord, installing a special pet door is out of the question. He won't allow it, and the cat sneaks in other ways. I once left a window cracked half an inch. He pushed it open and let himself in. I did get a neighbor to sign a letter saying it's not my cat. My landlord accepts that, but now thinks I'm encouraging it and need to solve the problem. After 6 months and $500, I've tried to get rid of it. I may end up calling the shelter. Update 1. I tripled my efforts to get rid of him, and until he spent his nights meowing at my porch and upsetting my other neighbors. My landlord has now served me fines for A. Noise, and B. Damage caused by cat. Because he comes into my house, despite admitting that I don't own the cat. I didn't get much in the way of legal advice last time, so hoping for advice. Can my landlord fine me for damages caused by a cat I do not own? Can I sue her for the damages? Edit. Guys, I've tried to get rid of Kitty. You seem to think that I go out feeding it every day. I haven't done that for months. I used to because I felt awful for it, but once he got old enough to spray out, he went. I know everyone thinks a water gun will solve the issue, but I am being sued. This is legal advice, not cat advice. I just want to know if I can get the fines lifted from my landlord, and if her suing me based on fattening up her cat and now making it skinny because I don't feed it has merit, and if I should lawyer up. In terms of things I've tried, yelling at it, spraying it with the hose, getting little sound devices that blast air when it senses motion, hiding in my house and playing ninja to get out, locking my pet food up so my cat is unhappy, putting all the human food away, baby-proofing anything that he may get into, calling animal control, they're useless by the way. If cat isn't right there when they show up, they won't do anything. Talking to my neighbor, talking to her landlord, talking to my landlord, borrowing spray guns from my neighbors, locking my pet door, more yelling at him, etc. Final update. My dad got me an early wedding gift, a lawyer. Turns out those weren't legal papers my insane neighbor served me. I've just never dealt with anything legal at all and was an idiot. I think she can get in trouble for trying to pass them off as legal papers, but I don't care at this point. I'm done with her. I took everyone's advice and hauled off the kitty, to the tune of $25 each time for 3 times. Neighbor went crazy and showed up on my doorstep, screaming about how I was going to pay her for getting Kitty out of jail and I was stealing her property again. And now I damaged it because the shelter made her get Kitty's shots, as well as being fixed. Luckily for me, I had a recorder handy while she went off on this rant. She even approved to me recording to get proof that I stole her cat. My lawyer took it to my landlord, and with a strongly worded letter he dropped the FEs against me for having another cat. Kind of hard to ignore that it's her cat by that point. I did agree to leave behind my pet deposit when I move out for cleaning caused by him though. My lawyer sent her a strongly worded letter to leave me alone or face harassment charges to my neighbor. She then showed up on my doorstep with said kitty and said I deserved him because I was a horrible person and he was ruined. I called my lawyer again because A, I cannot have 2 cats in my house, and B, what if she claims I stole it? She screamed that she didn't want it. Whenever he tried to go home, she'd yell and throw things at him. I have this recorded. In the end, my lawyer ended up calling for a welfare check on her for being nutty. I'm not sure the outcome of that and honestly don't care. She's gone quiet for now, and that's all I can ask for. I'm getting married in 2 weeks and will be out of this joint. As for the kitty, I felt horrible for him. Instead of calling for animal abuse, he's now living with my father, who has a very small farm goats. I still have my lawyer on retainer in case she decides to actually sue me over the cat, but who knows? Fingers crossed, she'll leave me alone now. Thanks for all the advice, everyone. Here's Kitty. He's a little banged up and scared, but recovering. Someday, if I get to keep him, I'll give him a proper name. Top comments. I am so happy that this cat ended up with a proper home after all that. I know the OP couldn't keep him, but I was feeling very sorry for this poor boy who obviously wanted to set up home somewhere else. Awesome dad. Gave OP a lawyer to help them, and then took in the poor cat. That's who I was thinking about this whole time. That poor cat. There's a reason it was trying so hard to get in OP's house, and I think her family taking him is definitely best. Yeah, there's a reason that cat was going to OP. He's the person who was good to him. I also had a situation where a neighbor's cat would come into my apartment through my sliding glass door or my window. He was strong and afraid of nothing. He'd fight with my cats and he bit me. My neighbor treated it like it was my fault, told me to close my windows and door. I kept my space open because I had a lovely backyard. The neighbor seriously screamed at me for my efforts to get her cat out of my home when she caught me using a spray bottle filled with water. I felt bad for her cat. Like the woman in the post, her cat just didn't want to be at home with her.